Our kids wanted a treehouse. Our old free playhouse was falling apart and dangerous, so Enoch suggested we just tear it down and rebuild in our yard's one flat space instead of down in the woods like I'd first planned. Meanwhile, Evelyn insisted that our treehouse have a pool. Ethan, well, he just wanted to keep me on track and make sure we could all swim by his birthday. So we tore down the old playhouse and threw it in the woods. I settled on a concept for the treehouse, but then ideas for an attached pool deck kept expanding from a 6x12 with a staircase to an 8x20 with a 12-foot walkway to avoid having stairs. After settling on a design plan, I plotted out exact locations for support posts. The angles needed to be near perfect with dimensions nearing 40 feet corner to corner. 13 holes, 30 inches deep, 12 inches wide. Even with a gas-powered auger, each hole cost 30 minutes of torture with lots of rock and clay. I pushed myself to finish within the 24-hour rental period. Exhausted and sore, it was finally time to relax by hauling a dozen 6x6 posts and 4,000 pounds of concrete, 80 50-pound bags, down our hillside. Just carrying materials was a big part of this whole project. By the end, counting around 3,000 board feet of lumber, I carried over 10,000 pounds of lumber and concrete down the hill over the course of several hundred trips, adding up to at least 10 miles. That's 5 miles carrying materials downhill, 5 miles climbing back uphill to reload. Maybe this makes up for me never going to the gym. By this point, I was happy to stop digging and to finally start putting these posts into the holes, with a 6-inch base of gravel for drainage, and using dozens of 2x4s for bracing. I made sure all the posts were level and properly spaced. I felt like I was building a spider web, and it was quite a maze to work around, but the good news is, all those brace boards will be repurposed for handrails and treehouse framing later on. Once all the posts were in the right positions and level, I started the tedious job of setting them in with 2 tons of concrete. Using at least a half dozen bags per hole, it felt a little excessive, but I knew the whole structure would only be as secure as the support posts. More hard work, but I had help. Next, it was time to remove all the bracing. The kids didn't like that. They felt like I was backtracking. I'd done so much work, and all I had to show for it was a bunch of posts sticking out of the ground. It's laser day, so I'm marking all the posts with this laser, leveled the tripod, make my mark, cut them all off at that level, and begin attaching the joists. I was excited to be done with the groundwork, eager to switch gears into woodworking mode. I added the 2x8 joists, properly attaching to the 6x6 support post using notching and 8-inch carriage bolts. I used joist hangers and full bracing for each 4x4 handrail post. Cool story, the day I was planning to go buy a bigger miter saw, a former elder who was moving to Florida contacted me wanting to give me a bunch of his old tools, including the exact size and style of miter saw I was looking for to buy for this project. He had no idea how perfect the timing was, and many of his tools were super helpful in making this project happen. Thanks, Brian. You're welcome to drive up from Florida's endless beaches to hang out on my little pool deck anytime. Speaking of the pool, at this point, I was 3 weeks in, and Ethan's birthday was just a couple of days away, so we set up the pool. That made everyone happy. Now I could work while my family splashed around nearby, and it was a great motivator to get those deck boards and handrails added so everyone could safely enjoy the pool. The pool deck portion was nearing completion, with a double pool access gate, a cheap roll of turf, and a much-needed deck storage box for all that pool gear. Around 5 weeks in, our family went on a much-needed camping trip for several days, and then it was time for Enoch and I to go on a 9-day mission trip to Panama in early June. So the project was put on pause for good reason, and no work was done for nearly 3 weeks. Upon return, the back left corner was just like I left it, waiting for the treehouse addition. So I got to work, when I could. Throughout the whole project, most of my work was done early in the mornings, often starting before sunrise, sometimes with a flashlight or umbrella. I'm not an early riser, but I was for this. The treehouse framing went up pretty fast. I added treated plywood, screen windows and trim, and 3 ladders to access the 2nd and 3rd level roof decks, which are slightly sloped to shed water. Eventually, the walls were finished, and it was time for some detail work. The awning, and especially the loft bridge with the floating table bench jail underneath, suddenly added so much character to the treehouse. Everything turned out super sturdy, and there was nothing quite like climbing up on top of the tower I'd built and finally enjoying the view from above. The cubbies and ladders make good use of the space and create a fun place to explore. and the abundance of windows make it a perfect hideout with great views of the entire play area. Climbing up on the roof provides an awesome vantage point. You really do feel like you're way up in the trees as you look off into the wooded valley below, from a height of nearly 20 feet. The kids had to be patient, but they were excited to finally fully explore the completed treehouse. They played on the bottom section as I was building, but the top was off limits until those handrails were in place. The one thing we've always wanted was a more usable backyard. We've managed to cram more fun into our one flat space than we ever thought was possible. Besides swimming in the pool, the kids love jumping on the trampoline, finding ways to climb all over the place, and swinging with a peaceful view of the woods. Even in one small area, there's plenty to keep everyone active and happy.
Whee!
And the treehouse is a fun place to take a break from swimming, explore, relax, and find some shade.
Cheese!
The floor plan is designed to work with a 4x8 folding gym pad, which can be modified in a lot of different creative ways. Finally, the project was complete, except for lighting. And yeah, I probably went a little overboard on lighting.
Ellie likes the lights.
All the lights can be controlled by remote, so we can turn the lights on and off from the back deck anytime. And now there's plenty of light to enjoy the trampoline, swings, treehouse, or pool, even after the sun goes down. Total project cost, including the pool, was around $6,000. However, with credit card bonuses, Lowe's gift card discounts, and other adjustments, our actual out-of-pocket was closer to $3,000. The way I look at it, we'd spend that much going to Disney for a week, and this is a vacation in our own backyard that we get to keep enjoying. It took a few months and a lot of work to bring to life an idea that started off as a sketch at the kitchen table. But getting to see the kids enjoy it makes it all worthwhile.